Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the top altcoins available on Robinhood. And before we get into that, let's just take a quick look at the fear and greed index for crypto. So we have been up in the 80s and peaked at 90 not too long ago. Now we've come back down to greed, which is 74 or lower. So finally out of extreme greed. I'm curious to see what's going to happen here, whether or not we're just going to come down to somewhere like 50 and bounce back up. Taking a look at the last year, I do like to see an accumulation of staying higher. Usually a bigger move in that direction is coming later. I wouldn't like to see as much of a spike up and then down, because then that may mean we're going to have a correction for longer. And what that could look like is one of two things. So here in 2019, that is a mid-cycle top. You can see that right here. So after Bitcoin peaked in 2017, we had a mid-cycle top in 2019. Bitcoin went to around 20,000, wicked up to there, settled around 17, got back up to like 12, 14,000. And of course, this was the crash for COVID. But once we were in December of 2020 and we broke the prior all-time high in 2017, we then went on to create new all-time highs at around 65,000 and then double top 69,000. So on the greed chart, this was at mid-cycle top, fell off March 2020, COVID. And here, believe it or not, this is not the top. This is when we broke prior all-time highs. The true top, that was around February to April when we were at that first top for crypto. So even before we got there, December is when we broke prior all-time highs. But if you look at this, there were still some corrective moves. We still went back down even to 40. I mean, can you imagine what would have to happen for Bitcoin to have the greed and fear index go down to 40? So, maybe that means that Bitcoin has a little flash sell-off, somewhere in the 40,000 range or something, and then continues up on higher. So we'll see. Try not to get too wrapped up in the prediction game. Just analyze, see where we're at, try to increase our time in the market rather than time in the market, and see if we can find some good areas to buy. So without any further ado, let's get into the altcoins on Robinhood. And this is, of course, Ethereum. Ethereum looks a lot like the Total 3 index. If you don't know what Total 3 is, so if you took a look at the chart for the total market cap of crypto outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, it looks a lot like this. Excuse me, drinking some water. So recently, we've had our first red candle in quite some time. I'm still waiting for a sell signal to flash. I've seen a lot of altcoins going down to their 10 or 20 weekly moving average. So do keep an eye out for that. On the daily, as you can see, we're underneath it and we're under this fib. So I would guess that maybe we would come down to this 2,900 range, possibly. But again, around that 2,900 range, at least on the weekly, is this 10 moving average. So we'll see what happens. Last couple times we've had corrections for Ethereum. Let's see how much we dropped. 12% over there. Let's see what this one is. No, it doesn't look like much, but 8%. Some of the larger ones, let's see, 11%. So maybe somewhere between 8 to 12% standard, and a big correction somewhere around 20%. So if I had to guess, maybe a 10% correction, something like that. But if we got a 20%, let's just see where that would put us. So 10%, 12%, that puts us at the bottom where this wick is. So is it possible that this move's getting close to finishing? Sure. Getting down to this moving average kind of puts us right between the big correction we had down here and some of the other ones. Maybe we get something like a 15% correction. So you don't want to catch a falling knife and just buy as we're going down. I do recommend to wait for a turnaround, wait for this to turn green. I prefer buying on the monthly and weekly buy signals, but if you want to see if a weekly signal is ending, you can take a look at the daily and see if some green's showing up. No green's showing up yet. So could you buy? Yes. However, you don't know if you're catching a falling knife and this thing just continues down. I like to wait for some structure to show that there is a turnaround. So here's some red. There was some turnaround, a little bit of a fake out here. Sometimes you can wait a little bit. Again, this is on the daily. So yeah, Ethereum right now looking bearish. I guess a positive you could take away is at least on the RSI. On the daily, it's getting ready to possibly curl up, but it may still need another week about to get back there. Next one, let's take a look at Doge. So Doge, yeah, all our altcoins are having a correction right now because Bitcoin's having a correction. So why wouldn't it? Doge, when we take a look at it, you can see we wicked up here somewhere above 20, and now we seem to be settling in on this fib. I believe that's the 382. Yep, the 382. So we're at this 13-cent range. Let's zoom in a little bit, see what we got. Yeah, right now we've gone underneath that fib. So we do need this to stop going down and to find some support. Again, looking at the daily, what do we notice? It's still red. However, you could say that because we've stopped wicking down as low and we have now a higher low on the daily, do wait for some green, some turnaround, the RSI to turn over. I've talked about before how with price predictions, when you zoom out, and right now this is on log scale, but a couple ways to look for possible price conditions or price points, I should say, should we have a mega blow off top. You know, Bitcoin goes to 120 to 200,000, somewhere in that range within this year. What are some targets for Doge? Here's a couple things. I haven't been through two bull markets here in 2017 and here in 2021. I've been in crypto actively since this time. Something to note is that altcoins that were around here, not all of them returned to their prior all-time highs or made new all-time highs. A lot did, and a lot didn't. So bear that in mind. I try not to get too much in the prediction game. Maybe Doge only gets back up to something like 50 cents. I don't know. Maybe it gets up to some of these higher levels. So here you can take a look at the fibs, and we have a $1.16 and a $1.85 as a 1618 and the 2618. Those would be, in my opinion, very bullish looking, or maybe the top that I would be looking for Doge. The other thing to keep in mind as well is market cap. When Doge topped out at around 74 cents, its market cap was something close to 100 billion. You know, so if we're taking a look at fibs that over twice that amount, that would mean that Doge would have a market cap of over 200 billion. Me personally, I don't believe that is going to happen. Maybe it does. I don't know. So if I did have some Doge, I would be looking at this target here more realistically as a place to exit some profits. Sure, you can exit a percentage of your profits and see, does it go higher? If it starts going lower, then exit out the rest. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for Doge. Let's take a look at Link. I think I just have it over here. I didn't even click it. So Link, what do we got? So it was up to the 618, coming back down to the 0.5, and something that I hope you guys notice. So on the weekly, we've gone down to this 20 moving average. That's the red line. Right now, we're at 17 cents. So we had a sell signal. I'm wondering if we're going to get some structure like we did here, or if we're going to go lower. So if we do go lower, I'm going to take off the RSI, I think, for the rest of this video. If we do go lower, something else to look for, and check out this moving average indicator, EMA 20, 50, 100, 200. And what do we got right here? So the 20s, of course, right there. And then we have the 50, 100, and 200. So if we got through the 20, then you take a look around the 50. I know some people like changing it to 55. So that would be possible bearish scenarios. Link, it does have a market cap of 10 billion on the dot right now. So that's pretty neat. So if this did a 10x, then we'd be taking a look at $170 link. And let's see if that lines up with any of our higher fibs. And as we scroll on up, right there, you can see the 3618. That's pretty close to a 10x. I would be looking to, if I believe Link could do a 10x and be worth 100 billion. And I like Link a lot. I own some Link, full transparency. I'm also not trying to shill it. I don't know if Link is going to make new all-time highs this cycle or what's going to happen. But in the most bullish scenario, I'm taking a look at these fibs up here, the 3618 and the 4236. So somewhere between that 179, 208 range. And you know, with depending on how much you've put in, instead of waiting for it to be right at the fib, you can exit out a little bit lower just to try to catch that price. And sometimes setting your sell orders can help you because we may only wick up near that price, but settle on the candle a little lower, as you've seen some of these wicks do. So, yeah, that's what I got for a Link. If it is to go lower, again, let's take a look at these moving averages and zoom in here. If it was to go lower, maybe target next between the high 11s and the high 12s. We'll see. Last time after we sold, we really just kind of ranged around for a few weeks. So maybe that's happening again. Next, let's take a look at AVAX and AVAX. So this one's still surprisingly looking bullish. A lot of altcoins I've noticed have been looking red. This is one of a few where, at least on the weekly, it is not. So good for you, AVAX. Let's take a look at the daily. Do we see any weakness in there? Yes, some weakness is starting. And on the daily, you can see it got under this 10 moving average and next the 20. So I'd be looking at that $50 range right in there. These are the daily moving averages. Again, 200, 100, 50, 20. And on the weekly, maybe it gets down to the 10 and we have some structure in here, and that could possibly be in the mid 40s. So AVAX holding up pretty nicely. And let's check its market cap. So market cap of AVAX is 20 billion. So maybe you believe this can do a 5x or a 10x and make it worth 200 billion. And then of course, this would be worth around 530. A 5x, then it's worth 100 billion. And then this is around 250. So as far as fibs, if that's near any of those targets, let's take this off log and see if we're near those. Again, we're taking a look at 250 or 500. So 231, that's a 1618. If you believe this is only a 5x. If you believe this could possibly 10x, we'll right up there, the 3618 at 508.10. So again, guys, these are targets I'd look for if we got into another mega blow off top. And I know it seems ridiculous if you've never been in crypto before, having been through it. This can happen over the course of just 6 months or less. I would say closer to 4 months. It feels like over here is like 3 to 4 months. So we have the halving coming up. We'll see if this is a sell the news event before going up. If we go up before the halving, before rate hikes, and then crash. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just trying to give you guys some areas to possibly look for as far as if we did get mega bullish or if things got bearish where we could get in. So would I be buying AVAX right now? No, we don't. We haven't had any buy signal since back here at 33. And should we get a little bit of a sell-off and it's red, once it turns around and it's green again, we get a buy signal, then I feel more comfortable personally. Next, let's take a look at Litecoin. And Litecoin, something I've noted is as it's gone up this trend line at the lower end. We've been talking about Litecoin since it's been in the mid-high 60s. And you can see here that it is right at this moving average here. Now, it's gone underneath it, and the moving averages have become resistance instead of support. So it's possible, yeah, look over here how it wicked back down to this one. I believe that's the 50, around 76. If we zoom in on the daily moving averages, you can see here it was getting near that 76 range. So it does look like we're finding some support. This daily sell-off has played out a little bit. I think if you're looking to be patient, catch some Litecoin, not a bad price overall, especially when you consider the range of where Litecoin's been. You know, it's been as high as 350 and 400, not a lot higher than before. So even if you're only looking for Litecoin to return to previous all-time highs or something near it, or even, look at this, the 786 fib, in a mega bull run scenario, that's still 4x. So, yeah, Litecoin, I'd be taking a look at the mid-70s. If you bought it now, I wouldn't blame you. However, this long-legged doji, these can play out violently either way. It's red, it's a sell signal. I would expect it to come down to the mid-70s. Next, let's take a look at SHIB. And SHIB on the weekly, looking pretty good. However, you see this and you know there's some red inside of it, especially after we were as high as 4 zeros and 4520. So we've almost gone down 50%. If we take a look at the daily, what do we notice here? The daily, yeah, looking more bearish. However, after the sell signal has played out, you notice it's resting on this fib nicely. So I would want it to stay on this fib. If it gets below it, I would be concerned. So again, this fib, it's not on log. Let's put it on log and see. So yeah, right here, maybe you could take a look at this. I believe it's the 0.5. Yep. So the zeros, the 4 zeros, and then 2 something. Maybe you can catch it somewhere down there. And guys, what I'm looking for here, with Bitcoin having this recent sell-off, and even here on the weekly, you don't see it. On the daily, you can. With it having the sell-off, if we are having a true new blow-off top like we had here in 2017 and in 2021, if we are having that again, then these corrections aren't something that you want to miss out on. And I know it may feel like reaching, and I would agree. If you had the time to get in here, like I have, then I wouldn't be chasing right now. However, if you don't want to miss, you are taking a high risk because, guys, we're way up in extreme greed. So do know you're kind of, quote unquote, educated gambling here. But what I'm looking at here is, you know, we've only had 1, 2, 3, 4 really big corrections of 20-some%. This most recent one, we've corrected about 16%. So all these corrections here, these 4 from the high to the low, those were all 20 to 22%. I don't know if maybe this is where the correction ends. Maybe Bitcoin gets down to this 58 level, or, you know, the low 50s, or the 200 moving average. To me, this is the last line of defense. This 200 moving average, that's on the daily, but especially on the weekly, where it's obviously lower. I don't see us getting back down there. Of course, this 50, it's going to come up a little bit, and I'd say, really, I'm looking for Bitcoin to absolutely stay above 42. If Bitcoin goes below 42, I might start to change how I feel about all this stuff overall. And just saying that out loud, I am curious what percent move that would be. So that's about a 40% drop. And if it got, you know, at least a 50% drop, went below that 0.5, then yeah, that's a clear change of trend. So do know, here's one of 2 ways you can play this. One, maybe this is a false mid-cycle top, and we're going to have a correction, and then 4-year cycle, we ape up next year. I don't quite believe that. Or we are going to have an early bull run up until when the Fed decides to cut rates, and we're going to have just a few corrections, kind of like Bitcoin did in here. And some of these corrections were big. This is like a 30% one. We did have corrections even in the last couple bull runs. Whoa. Let's go to 2017. You can see in 2017, look at all these. And if you're wondering how big some of those corrections are, even when we were making new all-time highs, look at that, 40%. Can you imagine if Bitcoin corrected 40% right now? 30%. How much people would be freaking out? That one's probably around 40%. It looks like that too. So do keep that in mind. If we are creating another blow off top, and you are not in crypto yet, then these corrections, maybe wait for the turnaround on some buy signals, and that might be your place to get in. So I like to look at the moving averages, the buy and sell signals, the RSI, all those factors. And if it's something I really like, I mean, even an altcoin like Link, I might look at possibly picking up some more before it's done. So anyways, enough chatting about that. Let's go finish up the other ones. So Uniswap got under this 0.5 Fib. Looks like it wants to come down. We just had this singular weekly sell signal. And if we take a look at the daily, man, that's looking pretty weak. However, you can see here we're on that 50 moving average. So on the daily, I would want that 50 moving average to hold. If not, look at the 100. That's nicely on the Fib right there. And so the 382, I believe. And yep, 382. So maybe it's going to get down to the 100 on the daily into the high 9s, possibly, or it could possibly form a base here on the 50. So again, I don't like to buy when things are red. I do like to have confirmation on a longer time frame, something like the weekly. And that's why I clicked the 5-year down here, because it changes this to weekly. Same thing if you change this to daily up here. So weekly, we just got a red. I kind of want to see how this plays out. So I'm not buying any uni, but if I was, that's something I look for. Bitcoin Cash, B Cash, as people love to call it. And let's change these fibs to log. B Cash is finally showing some red on the weekly. And look at that, it's right on the 0.5. So possible it comes down to some of these moving averages, the 10 or the 20, and then you have the 382 down here. So yeah, we'll see. It has yet to flash a sell signal. It wicked under, it's staying strong. I'm curious what it looks like on the daily. Daily, it looks like it's coming under. The 50s next, and then the 100. So yeah, if it is going to get back down to the 382, then maybe you can set some buy orders, something for like the low 270s. If we're lucky. Again, maybe we just stay up here on the 50 daily and move up. So just some price targets. Again, I would wait for some green, at least on the daily, for a little bit, before it's going to flash a green on the weekly. After it's shown a red weekly sell signal, wait for it to turn around, show a green. And you can see on the daily, if we start getting really green and the structure looks good, then sure, take a stab at it. Next, let's take a look at Ethereum Classic. And Ethereum Classic. So, man, on the daily, you've seen this come all the way down to the 100 moving average. And if we go to the weekly, yeah, look at that. Isn't it crazy how the daily changes to the weekly? So, daily, it's at the 100 moving average. Next, on the weekly, we have that 20. I am curious where the 200 MA is. It's right on this fib, on the 786. And that's where a lot of moving averages are here. So maybe you set a price target, something for like 25 or lower to pick up some Ethereum Classic. In the grand scheme of things, when you zoom out, this could just possibly be a higher low. Possibly. I don't know. But if you, again, guys, I say this, I try to say this in every video, only buy things you like and believe in and have researched. I can't research all this stuff for you, and I can't like and believe in this stuff for you. I never buy anything I do not like or believe in. So if you don't, you shouldn't be buying it. And if you are just buying it because it's crypto and you're trying to get rich, well, then you're gambling. So again, don't spend more than you can afford to lose. I don't recommend that. I don't encourage that. do your research and make sure what I'm trying to do here on this channel is just help you guys look for some deeper value plays of where you can buy the assets, the cryptos, the stocks that you like at a better value, some targets to look for. That's all we're trying to do here. And also trying to look at the market different than everyone else. When others are greedy, we are cautious. When others are fearful, we look for even greater opportunities. We try to get excited. So, soapbox done. XLM, Stellar Lumens. I think this was the one I was using. Yep, cool. And whoa, all the moving averages are converging really well there. We have a sell signal on the weekly. Let's change this fib to log. Excuse me. So still at the 236 down here. I just remembered I said this line was the 786 on the last one. Excuse my error. And yeah, possibly coming back down here to the lower 12s. If Stellar Lumens is something you like, I wouldn't blame you for buying it here. But again, I'd wait for a structure turnaround. Don't just buy when things are red because we don't know if it's going to keep falling. We want confirmation of a higher low, some structure. So do wait for some greens to turn around, and maybe right before the weekly turns to a buy signal. If you see a lot of green flashing, green daily signals, and it's about to turn around, and you're on the daily, again, you're seeing lots of greens, then maybe you can catch it a little earlier. So yeah, that's Stellar Lumens down here at a good price, in my opinion. However, I would wait for some structure to form. Make sure I'm not buying a falling knife and that we don't just go lower. That's always possible. Not likely, in my opinion, but possible. XTZ. Which one do we want to look at? There we go. This one has fibs on it. And my gosh, let's start over with this. So XTZ, at least on the daily, again, just like I was talking about, wait for some structure to form, some candles to turn green. On the daily, we're down to the 100 moving average. On the weekly, we're down, I believe this is the 10. I could be wrong. So I'd be taking a look at the daily first. We have all these moving averages converging here. Wait for some structure. The weekly has a sell-off. Let's zoom out. So where was the top in 2021? Okay, it was up here. The very top of crypto, of Bitcoin, was in November. And guys, I've talked about this in other videos. I even pissed off a couple of people in the one where I talked about Aerodrome, where I said I've seen, like, I cannot think of a single crypto or Bitcoin miner, whatever, that when it came out at or near the end of the bull run, whether it's 2017 or 2021, that it didn't turn into a giant dump and a giant falling knife. So not saying they can't come back up, but however, these are harder to read with these charts. So, we can humor ourselves here. It started way up there, but let's see, I can draw that one a little lower. There we go. So what do we see here? Almost got back up to the 382, came back down to the 236. Again, I'd be taking a look at some structure to see a base. I want some green in here. I want some green on this fib. I wanted to see it stay above the 100 daily moving average. And if it's green, and I like this crypto, I've done my research, I believe in it, then I might take a shot at it. So that's what I'd look for on XTZ. Let's just finish up with AVE and comp. So AVE. All right, what do we got here? Let's throw this fib on log. And with AVE, you can see we got above the 382. Now we're headed back down to the 236. Daily, again, guys, I'm not seeing any green, any support on any of these guys. So we are selling right now. We are having a correction. But again, I don't buy corrections as they're going down because we don't know if further down is coming. I look for a reverse. And you can see here, at least on the daily, we only got like 2-3 days. To me, that's why I like to buy the weekly. Not that the weekly can't go lower either. If this was a crypto I liked, I wouldn't be buying here. I'm sure the RSI would show us that probably here we were double tapping the RSI and then going higher, maybe even triple tapping. So it's possible you get in on a weekly buy signal and then it goes lower. But again, if you believe in it and you think we have accumulation, then yes, it can go higher. So we have this long-legged doji. I would expect it to go down as low as 87 or kind of by all these moving averages around 100. I do want to bring the RSI back up just to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. The moving averages aren't doing too much for us here. So relative strength index. So here's what I'm talking about on the weekly. Okay, when we look for something that's oversold, okay, you see how it's oversold on the RSI. I'm curious if log changes. Not too much. When we get down here, okay, I like for things to not just double and triple tap the RSI, but I also like to see the price create higher lows. And here that wasn't happening. Every time we just kept getting lower lows. So do look for a higher low. And here we're also seeing a bullish turn or bullish divergence, I guess you could say. So sorry, my cat's walking in front of me right now. So here the price is going higher. The RSI, the base is going higher. So that just looks bullish. If the price was going lower and the RSI is going higher, then that's bullish divergence. So just some things to look for. I don't think we're in a bear market right now or anything like that. So far, this is just a correction. The sky's not falling. And guys, if you have bought any of these cryptos and you liked it when they were up here, then you should love it when it's down here. That's how investing works for someone who isn't a degenerate gambler. So please make smart decisions. Please do your research. Put as many tools in your toolbox that you can for when to buy so you can be smart. And try to look at the positives and negatives, the pros and the cons. Try to remove your emotion on where you want it to go and just take a look at it for what it is. Something I teach in my job is, try to be mindful. Just take a look at it, whatever it is, just for what it is. Okay? Try to maybe even remove some of your bias. So you can just take a look at this chart and say, well, the RSI is up. That's bullish. Higher lows, that's bullish. Maybe this is just a correction and it's still above some key moving averages. So that's what I recommend doing as far as how to approach some of these. And I mean, yeah, this RSI, it was just higher. So to me, this is still bullish AVE. And, sure, it might come down here, but again, that might just be a higher low. And I think I mentioned this. The low hundreds would be an area I'd look for if it can form some structure. And last one, comp. And guys, like a lot of other YouTubers, I do my very best not to get into the prediction game because correlation doesn't equal causation. A lot of YouTubers, myself included, can make this error of, we have these patterns before, and so we look for correlation and cause for similar things to happen again. But for anyone who's done any bit of research or written research papers, correlation doesn't equal causation. All because people always have umbrellas when it's raining out doesn't mean that when you see someone with an umbrella that it is going to rain. Okay? That is not the cause of it. And so as much as we like to find correlation and what has happened before, things can change and we want to react to the conditions that meet our plan. So make sure you guys are making a plan. Seriously, write one down so you know what you're doing. My recommendation, start somewhere small. If you're looking to get into crypto, you're brand new, write down maybe 3 or 4 cryptos. Do your research on them. Try to be as unbiased as you can. If you don't like one, that's okay. There's literally thousands out there. Okay, and I talk about cryptos on Coinbase where there's hundreds. And on Robinhood, so far, there's still only about the 13 or 14, whatever. So, there's plenty of options. You don't have to fall in love with something, but especially because other people tell you to. And please, please, please don't try to buy in too much of the predictions that other YouTubers are saying, because a lot of them don't understand market cap. So anyways, enough rambling. This one, we have a weekly sell signal, got under that 10, maybe it's going down to the 20. On the daily, man, it's still looking red there. So I do want some structure. And look at this RSI. The nice thing about this, as low as it is that it is going to turn around. Now, one thing that can happen is that when an RSI turns around, if it comes back down, then it can go even lower. I've seen that happen a lot too. Can we even see it on this chart? Let's take a look. So yeah, here's an example. So when it got oversold here, it came up. When it got really oversold again, it went lower. And you can even take a look at these areas right here. So RSI isn't everything. Structure isn't everything. Buy-sell signals aren't everything. We do try to use as many tools as we can. Technical analysis isn't everything. But we're trying to give ourselves somewhat of an advantage where we can. So do note those things are possible. However, the trend is still up. We still have higher lows and higher highs, and the RSI is still looking strong. And even though it's this low, we're still up here. So it is possible. It just has a turnaround, some accumulation, goes higher. Okay, we'll see. So it's possible this can just loop up and comp goes up to something like 140. I don't know. But again, like the others, watch the fib, watch the moving averages, watch for the green structure on the daily to build, and for the turnaround on the weekly. Okay, this is just 1 week red. As you can see, we might be red for a month or two. We might be red for a month or two. We might be red for half a month. We never know, but just have a plan. Now is the time. We have a correction right now to do your research and to see if you're brand new to crypto, what are 3 or 4 that you really like, and if you believe in it, and if you believe that it is possible we are going to new all-time highs again, somewhere in the $120,000 to $200,000 range, then I don't think this would be the worst time to get in when the conditions are for that crypto are saying that it's a buy. Right now, a lot of things are just selling, they're correcting, they're not done correcting, and that's okay. Take a deep breath. I know our portfolios are lower. Mine is still up because, for example, like Link, I was buying down here. I was spending time in the market when you are getting in, when Bitcoin just made all-time highs, when you're getting in at a yearly high on anything, stock or crypto, you are chasing and taking greater risks. So at the very least, wait for one of these corrections to play out. And if it gets to a juicy moving average and the trend's still up, sure, take a stab at it. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you guys enjoyed my video. Tomorrow, I'll do my Bitcoin miner stock videos. Curious to see how those look this week. I'm sure they're getting murdered, and that's okay. Maybe it'll give us some more opportunities to buy things we like at a lower discounted price. So hope you guys are doing well, enjoying the nice warmer weather, and yeah, take care. Bye-bye.